in entrepreneurship, you get to write your own story, right? And I don't want to romanticize entrepreneurship. I don't want to do that because a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you get this freedom. No, my first 6 years of business, I didn't make a profit.
Right.
I was struggling. It was horrible. I wanted to quit every single day. That's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Do I enjoy freedom right now? Yeah, I do. I have a lot of freedom. I work I work less, and it's only going to get better and better and better. But I don't want to romanticize entrepreneurship because I've seen it happen so much online, and it's false. Luckily for me, they stereotype me. People think stereotypes always work against you. They stereotype me because they found out I was from Kenya. They're like, let's run some more blood work on you. And that's when they found out that I was HIV positive.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Everything Young and More, the podcast for you. Yeah. So welcome today. Today we got some, I always say this, we got some fire. We got somebody that we're going to be talking to who, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but their name is Coach Ken. Coach Ken has a dope history. He is a dope guy. He's an amazing guy. And he has a story that I believe that we all need to hear. Welcome, Coach Ken.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. How's everyone doing?
Yes, sir.
As we said, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right.
So good morning, good night, whatever it is, your time clock. So hello. But yeah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Before we even start, I just would like to hear a little bit about your story, your background, what you come from, what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I am an immigrant in this country. In this country. I'm an immigrant in this.
We can tell by that.
I'm Shrabin.
Yeah.
I came here at 10 years old, and so my mom was supposed to come after me, but my mom was denied a visa 4 times.
So you came by yourself?
I came with my cousin. They're actually the one I'm visiting here in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it was him, me, and my grandpa. So they allowed us to come, but they didn't allow my mom to come.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Oh, disclaimer. So Coach Ken is from LA. He's from Los Angeles, and we're shooting in Sacramento. And I forgot to tell you that this is a podcast where we bridge the gap between the young and the old. He's not old, and he's not young. He's somewhere in between that.
I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
You're aging me.
That's crazy, man. So you came with just your cousin, and your cousin was obviously he's older.
He was 21 at the time. I was 10 at the time.
So how does that work out? Like, did you both got your visas or?
So they removed me from boarding school. I was going to Naivasha Boys.
Yeah.
And they removed me from Naivasha Boys and put me on a plane. I didn't ask any questions. I hated boarding school. So
you were like, I'm out.
Gone.
Wow.
So yeah.
Boarding school. You were in boarding school at like 10? You started at like primary, huh?
I was in 33 and 34 in boarding school.
Yeah.
Naivasha Boys, probably the worst things ever.
That's crazy. And then let's talk about this a little bit. I wasn't planning on it, but like when you came here, did you experience culture shock?
I was a very unique child. I was used to traveling around a lot. So culture shock, I wouldn't say, but I fit right in.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I went to school with a bunch of Wazungus.
Oh, so there was like no language barrier. You just
because in Kenya we speak English, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't. It was a little bit like I barely spoke English, but you probably grew up like Nairobi, huh?
Kitengela.
You guys had tunes, huh?
Yeah. So we had to speak English in school. So when I spoke English when I got here. My English was a little bit different, right? It was like I would say, "Are you kidding me?" Instead of saying "Are you kidding me?" I'd say "Are you cheating me?" So things like that. That was the only difference.
Yeah.
But I fit right in. I never got bullied.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah, I never got bullied. And here's the funny thing: is because I went to school with white people. Because the African booty scratcher comes from black people.
Like African Americans, huh?
Yes.
Crazy.
Black people making fun of Africans, but I was always the only black kid
in your school, and you fit in just like that. But you have a unique story, man.
Yeah, I fit right in. It was unique. I loved it. It wasn't until I was older I started realizing, hey, maybe something. Y'all need to understand black culture a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so when you came here, you were staying with your cousin, or you guys were coming to somebody else that was hosting you guys?
It was staying with my auntie now. So there was 8 of us in a 4-bedroom.
And your auntie, is that your cousin's mom? Or?
No, that's my mom's sister.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mom's sister, I came here and stayed with her. So the idea was my mom was supposed to come, but they denied her visa 4 separate times.
That's crazy.
So she couldn't come.
I mean, it's been what now? Like 21 years, I think?
21 years, yeah.
Has she been able to come now, or?
No, we're actually working on it now again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but it's like, hey, man, I tell people this, like, I don't know why anyone would bring their mother here.
What do you mean?
America is not that pleasant for the older.
Oh, I mean, in terms of like just
like compared to
stay in
Kenya,
the house, or like there's more to do in Kenya than here.
Yeah, like they have their friends, they socialize.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, they come here, they have a nice house, but they stay inside the house the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. It's pretty boring.
Yeah. So I want her to come visit so she can see that we don't pick money out of the trees.
Right.
And then I would like for her to go back. I don't want her to stay here. She'll be miserable.
Yeah.
I want her to see her grandkids, my sister's kids, and then go back home and then make a choice whether she wants to come back or not.
Okay. And your sister's here too?
My sister's in Arizona, yeah.
So she came after you?
Yeah, she came after me.
Okay.
By like 10 years after me, yeah.
Yeah. That's dope. Okay, so I think on this episode, one thing I want to highlight is I want to talk about being an entrepreneur, which I think you are.
Yes.
And you can talk a little bit about how you got there, what you're doing, and what type of business that you're in. And then from there, I'll just be asking you questions.
Sounds good. So for me, entrepreneurship came naturally. My mom was an entrepreneur, and she was an entrepreneur-ish. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of entrepreneur-ish, right? People who are dabbling and trying different things, which is it's cute and it's good, but I don't have another job. I don't work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
For the last 8 years, I've relied on my business to make me money. And it's funny because when I started being an entrepreneur, it wasn't a cool thing.
Right.
Right now, it's really cool to be an entrepreneur. It's a slogan. It's almost like a logo.
Yeah.
I did it out of necessity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like I was telling you earlier, I used to work for a high-end gym in LA. And my boss was grooming me to become the next manager, right? So one of our really good performing trainers, he just happened to disappear. So my boss was like, "Hey, go find out what's happening with Casey." I remember he would take me to sushi. This guy was spoiling me. But
Casey?
No.
Oh, the boss.
The boss. So he was grooming me, but I didn't realize he was making me do all his work. But he was grooming me to become a manager.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Hey, go find out what happened to Casey." And so I go. Casey and I are boys. Casey does not know I'm getting groomed to be a manager. So he tells me everything. He's like, "Man, they keep." So we were charging $75 a session, and they were keeping $50 of it.
Wow. So he's only making like 25 from
that. Yeah. So I was like, as a 21-year-old, I was like, $25 in 2010. That's a lot of money still. But at the same time, I was like, this math is not math.
Yeah.
So, but Casey was really poor at explaining everything. So I went to where Casey worked, and I met the guy, this Asian guy. His name is Naray, Nray. He's an Asian guy with dreads. And that loves reggae. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Right.
So I'm talking to him, I'm chatting it up. He told me the whole idea. He's like, yeah, why would you ever work with somebody where you can keep 100% of what you charge?
Yeah.
So his idea was like, don't charge 75, charge 50, keep 100% of it. And I was like, huh?
Right.
This is making sense.
Yeah.
So I went the next day, I put my 2-week notice.
Dang, so wait, with Casey, so he just like quit. He just left and never came back.
Casey
and then the boss sent you to go get Casey, and you said, "I'm also out."
Yep.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy because my boss was trying to keep me because he knew I had potential to be a good worker. That's one thing. coming from Kenya, we have work ethics, right? I mean, any immigrant compared to an American has work ethics.
Right.
I hate to say it, it sounds horrible, but I mean, we come from a place of scarcity.
Yeah.
You know, so we know how to work, we know how to grind. So I came here at 10, no parents, no father, no mother, an auntie raising me.
That's crazy.
So I was hungry. I was hungry for something.
Yeah.
So so I remember I put in my 2-week notice with my boss, and he tried to talk me out of it, and I said, "It's not gonna happen." And he's like, "I tried it, I failed," and I was like, "That was you, bro." I told him that. I was like, "That was you."
Yeah.
And then so I went on. After I told him that, he had to fire me because he couldn't give me my 2-week notice.
Yeah.
It was a direct competition.
Yeah.
Right. So he fired me. At the time, I was very hurt. But that's just life.
Yeah,
right?
man. And I think that's what comes with like being an entrepreneur. Not everything is sweet, man. You have all ups and downs, and it's like today can be good, but like tomorrow can be like super bad. You know?
Yes. And but it's not even super bad, to be honest, because I remember sleeping in a garage. I slept in somebody's garage because I didn't have. At the age of 19, I got kicked out of my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why is that? Like, is that?
I was just a hard-headed kid.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't tell me
That's
nothing.
more you.
But that was just that goes on to tell you how I became an entrepreneur, because in entrepreneurship you get to write your own story, right? And I don't want to romanticize entrepreneurship. I don't want to do that, because a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you get this freedom. No, my first 6 years of business, I didn't make a profit.
Right.
I was struggling. It was horrible. I wanted to quit every single day. That's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Do I enjoy freedom right now? Yeah, I do. I have a lot of freedom. I work I work less, and it's only gonna get better and better and better. But I don't want to romanticize entrepreneurship, because I've seen it happen so much online, and it's false.
No, I think I think I can agree with you, because like I'm also an entrepreneur. You know, I'm a photographer, videographer, and like when I started, bro, like it was tough. You know what I'm saying? And even like telling somebody your price, what you charge, and then like it's like little already. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're making 25, and somebody's still saying, you know, like, but I think let me make you 15, bro. Think about 15. What you could do with 15. It's like, bro, what do you mean? I'm buying equipment that's so expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, but when you think about the idea sounds sweet. But when you actually start working on it, it's like, wow, man, I'd rather just get a 9 to 5, because it's easier. You get a paycheck at the end of every 2 weeks.
It's easy. You just show up.
Yeah.
At least, man, I have friends who work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And these guys, they call me in the middle of their shift.
Bro, so I'm not even gonna lie to you. Even now, I be thinking about like, hey man, like all I have to do is just show up and do what I'm told, and I go home. But here, it's like if I go shoot, I still have to come back and edit. Like I'm taking my work home with me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So and that's really like another thing that
you're not taking you are your work.
Right. And it's like if anything happens to me or I can't work, like I don't earn. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's scary.
It's terrifying, right?
Right.
It's and that's a real part of entrepreneurship. But I do it as a calling. You know, you see it. I always look at pastors. Pastors have probably one of the hardest lives in the world, because the congregation looks at them as if they're supposed to be perfect.
Right.
But they're just answering a calling. This is a calling that was put upon them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not, most pastors shouldn't be there for business, but that's how I see entrepreneurship. It's a calling. It's not something you do for fun of it. It's not something you do to explore. There are some people who venture out in entrepreneurship a little bit, but they keep their 9 to 5. Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
But people like us.
Yeah, that's all you do.
Everything I do, right?
Yeah.
And getting my hands 100% dirty has been very beneficial. Like not testing the waters. Okay. I don't test the waters. I jump in. Yeah. Cannonball.
And you said that the way you started was how again? Like how did you start getting into fitness as well?
Fitness. So I think every like teen boy is super insecure about their body, right? Because like we're built like especially as Kenyans, we're skinny,
like scrawny,
naturally skinny, right?
Yeah.
But for me, there's a little bit different. There's a different part of it. At the age of 14, I had pneumonia. I was kissing a chick in the rain. I wanted to, Mr. Romantic.
Yeah. Hey, at 14, you were really the guy.
So I was ungus, and I wanted to kiss a chick in the rain, and through that I got pneumonia. I don't know if that's how I got pneumonia. I don't know. After that, I know I got pneumonia.
Right.
So I went to the hospital, and they treated pneumonia, but they were like, let's run some tests, some more tests. Luckily for me, they stereotyped me. People think stereotypes always work against you. They stereotyped me because they found out I was from Kenya. They're like, let's run some more blood work on you. And that's when they found out that I was HIV positive. Yeah, so at 14, I found out I was HIV positive. And that was, how old are you, Tony?
Right now, 25.
What?
Yeah.
You're young, my guy. So you're 25.
Yeah.
Okay. Back. Hey, Jesus, you're 6 years younger than me. Back in the day, they used to have these commercials for invisible children. It's a little scrawny kid, like pretty much dying in Africa with $1. You could save this kid.
I've seen those. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
in the eyes of an angel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they had those.
And
I always saw how they represented Africa on TV, and I hated it. So I knew one day I was gonna be on stage talking. That's still my dream. I'm gonna be on stage talking.
Yeah.
Not as a coach, not as a motivational speaker or anything, but I remember on stage talk. I wanted to be on stage talking, but I didn't want to look sick. That was my thing. The idea was like me being scrawny and skinny made me look sick, so I started working out. So through my insecurity, I created a business. So I started working out, and then I started helping people work out. Yeah. And then now I'm a coach, and I help people. So the three major things in life: making money, relationships, and your health. Right, your physical, how you physically look. Right. Those are very simple things to achieve, but they're very simple things to achieve, but they're not easy. Right. Why they're not easy?
You need a lot of discipline and consistency, or?
Yeah, but you also need to discover who you are.
Self-awareness.
It's an emotional journey. Yeah. Because if you just walk the journey of like work, save, you become rich. Within 10 years, you'll become a millionaire. Right. Even if you're working a very low-end job. Yeah. If you invest right, if you follow somebody else's plan, you'll be successful. Right. Same as fitness. 1 year, you dedicate yourself to the plan, you'll be successful in 1 year. Right? Yeah. And literally most things are very, very simple, but why is it, if fitness is so simple, is 70% of America overweight or obese? Right. Overweight or obese. 70%.
That's a huge percentage.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And as a coach, why is that though?
So it's emotional, right? We're emotional beings. Right? And if you don't coach the emotional being, it don't matter what you tell the person right in front of you, right?
So like if I feel like eating this, man, it's not good for me, but I'm gonna just eat it.
Yeah, but I teach my clients to go away from good or bad, right? So like, cake is good. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Period. 100%. Cake is good, right? But it has calories. There's cause and effect, right? So there's if you eat this cake, you can't eat the rest of the day. Right. Is that worth it? Right. So you ask yourself that question instead of saying cake is bad. Because ever since we were kids, you tell something is don't do it, we do it. Right? Yeah,
you're actually more prone to do it.
Exactly.
If you're
So it's like a skier who's going down a hill. A skier, right? Yeah. They don't ever focus on the trees. Because if you focus on the tree, they'll hit them.
You hit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, I want to ask. I don't want to ignore the fact that you just told us that you were HIV. They're gonna be like, bro, what do you mean? Go back. Ask them about that. Like, how are we just gonna ignore that? So you said that you were HIV positive,
Yes.
and then at 14 you were kissing a girl under the rain.
Yeah.
So how how are you dealing with relationships, like knowing that you were, because you found out you were HIV positive at 14. Right now you said you were 31.
31, yeah.
That's a minute. That's like, I think 16 years apart or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or 17. How did you deal, or how do you still deal with relationships right now? Do you even like, first thing you're like, hey, before we start talking, I know you're into me, I'm HIV positive, or how do you just go around
So, it's funny because I used to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
First, I never told anyone. I didn't tell anyone until I was like 20. It was like a family secret. It was like my whole family kept that as a secret. And they wanted to protect me, right?
Yeah.
But who am I?
Right.
Yeah, you don't.
You're going to say it, and then they're going to make you sleep in the garage.
So 20-something, 23, 24, right there is when I got so sick and tired of carrying this weight on my shoulder. It was like a secret.
Yeah.
And that's when I told the whole world. I got on a YouTube video. And I posted on Facebook. And the massive support that I got was incredible. It was very, very, very incredible. So, and here's the thing, like you've experienced this. You probably heard a lot. You've heard a lot about Kenyans complaining about other Kenyans, but I'm sure you've experienced a different kind of, like, the up and coming Kenya, like my age and up, and younger.
Yeah.
We support each other.
100%.
So, like, what do you call it? So, I had a huge support, not just from my age groups, but age above. All Kenyans.
Yeah.
I mean, my Mzungu friends were cool, but like, they were cool. It didn't really bother them.
Yeah.
But the my cousin's friends and my and just my church had my back.
Yeah.
They really did. And I remember that. I'll never forget that. Like my community had my back. The Kenyan community had my back. I want to be very clear. The Kenyan community had my back, and it was a pleasant surprise. I didn't see it coming. But my friends had my friends, my family, my family's friends.
Yeah,
they had my back.
I think speaking on that, highlighting that on that, I think here in the States, the Kenyan community really comes together on issues, whether it's death, somebody is sick, somebody is going through something, your story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really nice thing. Doesn't matter what kind of background you are, what tribe you are, like, people really come together and support each other.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't play a factor. Like, long story short, I was part of, is it Kenya, Face of Kenya. And they asked me a question about tribalism. And I answered it so poorly because I'm pretty much American.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't even know. Like, I've never experienced tribalism.
Right.
I'm in the U.S.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit younger. So, but anyways, you asked me, how does HIV affect my relationships? It affects, like, it's pretty much like everyone, bro. It's the way you show up really matters, right? So let me just put a little note here about HIV. HIV is they're so advanced with medication that right now I can have a kid with somebody and never transmit the disease as long as I'm undetectable.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're so far in advance in medication that it's HIV is no longer dangerous.
Yeah.
So now it depends who I'm dating, by the way. If I'm dating somebody who's 40 and above, they have a different fear of HIV, right? Now picture this. When we have kids, they're not going to fear COVID, but we have something in our head about COVID, right?
Yeah.
So HIV in the 90s and the 80s
was a big thing.
It was wiping people left and right?
Yeah.
So it was wiping them out. And so they have that fear. If I'm dating somebody older, they have that fear of, like, dang, like, I'm gonna, like, are you gonna
start
die?
sweating off of that?
Yeah. But people my age and older, my age and younger, they don't have that fear. So dating is not too bad, but it's something I do have to bring up. It's something I have to pick when to bring it up, because my friend told me, he's like, hey, don't bring it up too early, because when you bring it up too early, like, the person doesn't have enough to invest in you. They don't know you.
It's just gonna dismiss you off of that.
They're gonna dismiss you.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I feel like I'm hiding something, so I don't like that either. So it's an interesting conversation, but I've had somebody tell me like, hey, I don't want this. I had somebody who there was one person.
Name them. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
One person who thought I would make a good partner, but she could not get over the fact that I was HIV positive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because she ended up marrying somebody exactly like me
With HIV.
No.
Oh, that looks like you. Oh, okay.
No. Personality-wise.
That's crazy.
Personality-wise.
And do you think that sometimes when people when they're thinking about dating somebody like that might have HIV or is HIV positive, they're thinking about their friends and what they're gonna think about, like when I tell them that.
Here's a crazy thing. She was willing to do. She wasn't scared of her life. Mm-hmm. She was scared of what people would think about her dating.
That's what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
So it was crazy to me because I'm like, you're willing to do physical,
oh my God.
You're willing to do physical things with me, but you're not willing to
for people to yeah.
And I remember that. Hey man, I was one of my most down parts of my life because I was like you feel like man, you feel like you're just not. Like you're just not good enough. Imagine like dem anakutaka, everything, but not willing to put a title on it because of. I remember she said, "What would my mom think?" And I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
And I don't blame her because it's her honest truth. And here's the thing: we sit here and we get mad at people for telling you the honest truth. Me, I appreciate the honest truth.
Yeah, as much as it might hurt.
Yeah,
like it's really
it hurt. It really, really stinged. It hurt. It hurt. She's still one of my really good friends.
Yeah,
she's still one of my really good friends.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, because what do you call it? But that's just how it is. Like you don't need to. I understood where she was coming from. Like if I didn't have this disease.
You'd be on baby number 3. Okay.
I love kids, so I wouldn't be surprised. If I didn't have this disease, I might have the same judgment. And it's
towards somebody.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like I'm so above that. No,
right.
It's honest. Do you want to deal with a chick with HIV positive?
Yeah, it's
something, right? And she just didn't want to deal with it. And I just remember, man, do that little whatever we had me and that chick. The insecurity that woke up. Because remember, we all build our insecurities by the age of like 7 or 10.
Yeah.
Right? So what woken up is like... It was traumatic, bro.
Yeah.
It was very, very traumatic. And that's actually something I want to talk about because... I was talking to another Kenyan chick just the other day, and she spoke about her past, like it's very casual, and I'm like, do you understand how traumatic your childhood is?
Yeah,
and that's something as I've been in therapy for the last 2 years, and I hate speaking about therapy after speaking about HIV because I never went to therapy because of HIV.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I went to therapy to figure out why I have issues in relationships, right? Because they say if you don't work on your childhood trauma, they will come up in your relationships. So I was in relationships with amazing people, but I was in a fear of. I had this fear that I could not tame, right? And I kept on sabotaging myself in relationships.
Yeah.
So I'm like, nah, bro, I was like, these women are not broken. You broken. So, nigga, you toxic.
Yeah, so I'm going to tap into that.
Yes. So I went and worked on myself for the last 2 years, actually, due to somebody from Sacramento. And as I was working on myself, I discovered I discovered my past is very traumatic, right? Because, you hear, like, people making fun of therapy. It's for Zungus.
Yeah. We talked about that on one of the podcasts, but it's people think that.
Yeah, it's for white people. It's whatever. But you look at white people; they have very, very successful relationships. They have they have their privilege and whatever, but they still have better relationships and whatever.
Yeah.
And you look at our Kenyan community, which I love so much. I'm obsessed with our Kenyan community, but we need therapy, and we don't need pastors.
Yeah.
Pastor and a therapy is completely two different. You don't need to go to your pastor. Go to a therapist.
I had a pastor that came here. He's also a therapist, but he talked about that.
So that's powerful.
He talked about that. He said there's some things that you just you don't need the pastor to handle. Like you just have to go to therapy and get like a different perspective.
You don't go to if your car breaks down. You don't go to the pastor to fix your car.
Right, pray for it. You know what I'm saying? You take it to the mechanic and they actually do the work.
You go to the professional, right?
Yeah.
Therapy is. I can't leave this without. This thing's called Everything Young, right? And we're empowering young people, but mostly young Kenyans. Therapy is a very, very useful tool, and the man I've become now has been through therapy, right?
Wow.
And I didn't join. I want to be very clear. I didn't go to therapy because I was
HIV positive. I like that distinction because somebody might just dismiss that thinking, "Oh, if I don't have HIV, I don't need therapy."
Yeah, I don't need therapy. That guy went through some shit. So excuse my language. The guy's been through life, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why he needs therapy. No. I did not go to therapy because I went to therapy because I wasn't secure in myself. I was not secure in myself, and I wanted to become secure. And that took time. It took 2 years.
Right. And how do you even get to a point about talking about your insecurity? Is it because you're overcoming that, or how do you even get there? Because if I was insecure about something, I would want to just keep it to myself, type of thing.
Yeah. So it affects something, right? What's the end result? I want to be married. I want to have kids. That's my end result. But
right.
I can't hold a relationship. Every time the relationship gets too deep, I want to leave.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm scared. Right. So so I caught on. Like the last person I dated. One of the most amazing women I've ever met, and I didn't understand it, but I wanted out. I wanted out. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Once I unpacked my trauma, my trauma comes way back from when I was like 7 years old. When I told you, did I mention I got sent to boarding school?
Yeah, you said you.
So my mom was never around. Right, my mom was hustling, doing her thing. She was never around, so I was always left with maids. And in Kenya, maid does not mean you're wealthy. Just everyone has a maid, pretty much. And all the maids would quit because I was considered hard-headed. But and it's such a privilege to work on your trauma. By the way, let me just say that I'm just thinking about it right now because it's like somebody might be watching this in Kenya and be like, I don't have that privilege. I'm trying to provide. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we get to the U.S., this is one of the land of the whatever, and you have the opportunity to work on yourself. So I was always considered hard-headed. Mom was never around. So for me, one thing I told myself from a very young age. By the way, I never found out my mom was trying to come here until 2019.
Oh, those 4 times that she tried, you didn't know?
I didn't know until 2019.
Wow.
So the whole time I thought my mom just dumped me in the U.S.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
So,
and you're going through like this time in the U.S. for 2019, and you came here. What year was that?
After 9/11. After 9/11.
So that whole time, like you've been thinking, like my mom just, it is what it is, man. I'm gonna do what nobody cares about. Why?
Exactly. I thought no one cared about me at that.
Man.
So like I was very independent, right? And I was just like, I'm gonna be by myself for the rest of my life. I always wanted to get married. I always want to have kids. That's something I've always wanted, but I couldn't hold the relationship.
Yeah.
And I was always the one exiting the relationship. I would always find something wrong with the person, and now that's the worst part.
Also, and then you just focus on the little part that
I highlight their mistakes, right? Like they're not human. Like I'm perfect,
right?
Yeah? So, and it's sad. It's very, very, very sad. And that's why I went to therapy, because I wanted to achieve something.
Yeah.
Right. And then the thing about therapy, it sprinkles across everything. I became a better coach. I just became a better human. Really, I just became a better human, and how I show up in the world was very, very, very different. So, I always, if you're struggling, if you're having a hard time, get a therapist, please.
And how do you choose a therapist? Like,
Dating. You gotta date it. I've seen over 5 different therapists, and the one that I have right now is the best.
Okay.
It's the best for me. And here's the thing: my best friend went to him. Not the best fit for him.
Okay, so just try out different therapists.
You have to
fire them if you have to.
Yeah, and then that's part of life. You gotta let go of people sometimes. You know, it's not working out for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, man, dude, that's a crazy like, I can't say 360 really, because that just leads us back to where we started. But like, I mean, I don't know how you managed, man, but it seems like the HI, like you had, dealing with like relationships it caused you more pain than even coming here and from Kenya without your parents and coming into school. And you said because you had no problems like fitting in.
No, I didn't have a problem fitting in. But so moving here, I never had a problem fitting in. I never even looked.
That's crazy, because for me it was the other way around. Like I mean, relationships, great, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was good, but like fitting in, like when I first came,
you doing romantic things, huh, Mr. Romantic?
You know what I'm saying? Like that was cool, but like when I came here, like the English. Okay, the way I learned the English, or kind of knew what I knew when I came here, was we used to. So I was in a hospital most of my, like, the year before I came to the States.
Okay.
And before that, the school that I went to, I wasn't like super aware, because I was I think 11 when my accident happened, when I was burnt in fire, and then I was in a hospital for.
I don't know your story, Tony.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Shortly, like, I'll just mention a little part of it. So, so in 2007, 2008, the 1st of January 2008, I was in a fire. You know how we have these elections, kind of like the one that we just had, and then it was like
it was violent.
So it was political. From that, so it was like post-election violence is what happened.
Got it.
And I was involved in that. At the time, I was 10. I was 11. Wow. Didn't know anything. I was just a regular child doing regular things, and then caught up in a fire that they burnt in a church that I was in. And then so I had to be in the hospital for like a year. But before that, I wasn't, like, I was starting to know myself at that time, right? So it's like I didn't really know.
At 10 years old, you were getting to know yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was trying to, like, I don't want to say I knew everything, but like that's when I started being aware. Like I have memory from that time, from around like 7, 8, 9, 10. But before that, I don't really remember much.
I got you.
Yeah, so, and then I spent like a whole year in the hospital, and like I couldn't leave. I wasn't going to school. I was having surgery like in and out each and every day. And then as I continued, and then moved to a better hospital, because I spent 3 months in the first hospital, and then like the other time in the other one. And they used to have missionaries that came from the U.S. to go to Kenya and treat people. And that's when they would come with their kids, and then they would do like tutoring. Like they would come and like hang out with me. Yeah, they would come hang out with me and take me to, like, there was this American school that their kids for missionary parents would go to. So we would go hang out over there. They would show me like other friends and whatnot, and then that's when I started like picking up on English and whatnot. But when I came here, so I knew that, but I still had a really strong accent. So whenever I pronounced words, like people would be like, "Huh? Come again?" Like I used to hate that. Like, come again? Excuse me? Pardon? Like I always knew all those words because like I kept going through that. But it wasn't until I think middle school is when I started like becoming, because I was funny from like very young. So in middle school they used to do this like roast sessions. I don't know if you know those. So I used to participate in those.
Roast?
Yeah. So like we roast each other. Yeah. So, and my one thing that used to just make fun of me is like my burns. Like they used to say like the funniest thing, like, "Oh, you got your brain under your hat." You know what I mean? Like they had all these things, but like I used to say like worse things at them. I don't really remember all of them, but all these. And the thing was like I wasn't trying to really get you to like be mad or anything. I just needed all these other people that were watching to like me or to like those jokes that I was saying. Exactly. So And once they did, like, it was cool. Then I fit in, and then I started hanging out with the kids that were like, they were doing like the bad things and whatnot. But I never did any of those things because I still focused on my education. But like, it was cool to hang out with them because then if the people who are making fun of people are with you, then you're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of like, I guess, got through that. But for a minute, I just was trying to fit in, man. Like I remember the first friend when I came here, because I went straight to like 5th grade. We were finishing. It was this kid, and no offense, he was big, like weight wise, and he had no friends, so he was like, hey, let's hang out, and then that's how we started hanging out because he had no friends. But then as I continued, got into soccer and whatnot, and then met other people, and yeah, man.
I mean, it's that time is very interesting. High school time. For me, I didn't go to college, so high school for me was a pleasant time. It's not like I would ever go back, but I had a really good time in high school. And I'm a chameleon. I'm really good at
fitting in.
Yeah. I'm really phenomenal. I like actually fitting in. So, honestly, I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I passed high school because my teachers liked me, not because I was actually a good student.
Yeah.
And that kind of robbed me of my education because I was such a smooth talker. Like literally, high school I ran high school. Like I remember my first period, I would walk out of class and go get the attendance. It would take me 15 minutes.
Wow.
I just walk around campus. Security, no one would ask me anything. I loved my high school here.
I wonder how that worked because you were the only like black kid. Wait, even in high school you were the only black kid?
I was the only full black graduating kid. There's my boy Daniel. My boy Daniel, he graduated. He's half Asian though, but I was the only full black person.
Wow. They're probably just like, oh, we don't know how to handle him. What do we do?
No, bro, no, it wasn't like that. I was an easygoing kid. I was very easy. I was like very, very easygoing. I was good at math. I was good at like the only subject I was bad at was English. I was really bad at English.
Yeah.
But my teacher loved me.
Wow.
She loved me. I plagiarized my whole essay, the final essay.
Yeah. And he went and copied and just pasted it.
Copy and paste
submitted.
She gave me an A.
Wow.
Yeah, so I survived. I did really good, but just because I looked good in the front does not mean I was hurting. I wasn't hurting on the inside. I was really torn apart. Right at this point, I don't have my mother. I don't have my father. I live in a house full of adults who are trying to survive in America.
Yeah.
Right. All in their 20s. They're trying to survive. And anytime I did anything a 20-year-old would do, it was I was frowned upon pretty much. It's like, so like they didn't sign up to raise a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So despite high school being awesome, home was also awesome, but it wasn't home. It might as well be in the boarding school I went to.
Yeah. You know wow. Because you're right.
So
no difference.
I was very hurting. I was hurting.
Yeah.
And it was painful. It was very, very painful. And that's kind of what I'm unpacking right now.
Through therapy.
I'm unpacking all of that. Like I'm unpacking, because you if you don't discover your worth, you go seeking it from somebody else.
Wow.
And then as soon as you find that person who's supposed to fill this hole, whatever, and they don't fill that hole, guess what happens? You think it's their fault. You think something's wrong with them, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I discovered through my work. It's like I'm like, oh no, you the problem, bro.
That's crazy, man. I feel like by the time as we're going through this podcast, a lot more people who have been watching will sign up for therapy, man.
Yeah,
because that's something I'm trying to get into too. Like, I was
Don't
gonna
try.
No, I have done it. But there's a program that I have to go through. They asked me about doing it this year or next year because they help fund my therapy. And like if I do it next year, I can go for longer. But this year it would only be like the rest of the year.
It doesn't matter. Time is now. Do now. Like why wait until the future?
Right.
That doesn't.
And
make
who
sense.
says the future is guaranteed?
Yeah, like it's not. It doesn't make sense. Like right now, you have a partner, right? You have a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
You can be better for her. Why would you wait until next year to be better for her? Think about it that way.
Yeah.
It's like therapy is non-negotiable for me. It's something I pay upfront for it. I don't look for insurance. I want the best.
Right.
Right. So you think Kobe Bryant was like, hey, are you covered by insurance? I'll make sure you're the best coach.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No, I want the best. Right.
Okay.
So that's something I don't play around. It's very important.
Yeah.
Don't wait until you have 4 months left in this year,
Right.
to be a better boyfriend, to be a better son, to be a better human.
Yeah.
Why wait?
Type in with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this. I know we talked about your mom, but there's something missing, and my brain just keeps saying, hey, ask him about his dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about that? And
I don't mind at all. My pops, I met him for the first time in 2019. Right. So I met my pops in first time in 2019. I really don't know him, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know him.
So you grew up. So he wasn't in your life as you were growing up.
Not as an adult. My dad had multiple multiple spouses. Yeah. So my mom just happened to be one of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And do you feel like growing up without your dad affected you in any way, or?
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah.
Have you so parents are supposed to be pillars in your life, right? The pillars, they're supposed to show you how to love. They're supposed to show you everything, right? I didn't have either one. Think about that.
Yeah,
so
that's tough, man.
I didn't have either one. I was taken away from my mom at the age of 10. My dad was never around. So I've had people step in, and they've done a phenomenal job, more than I could ever ask for. But it's not the same. It's what I'm recuperating from. It's you see, and then the downfall. You know, as a Kenyan raised by next to white people, you see them like, you know, like my first friend in America. First friend in America. He has mother and father. But his life is the way he's living life is what I would write for me to live life. Like, he's in med school right now.
Wow.
He's about to graduate, specializing in med school.
Yeah.
He's on his second kid. No, he already had his second kid, actually.
Yeah.
But he timed him perfectly, right?
Yeah.
And not to take away from him, he worked his ass off, but he's not doing that with that mother and dad.
Yeah,
Mom
like
and
it makes
dad,
it a
right?
bit easier.
And you see that, and it sucks because I'm a few steps behind. Right? Anything I get, I had to support my mom back home.
Dude, and I think it's crazy because when you talk about that, I'm thinking like when I got my first car, you know, when I started working, I wasn't like making much and whatnot, but like I was making a good amount, but I didn't have a credit, I didn't have anything, but like my parents stepped in and like helped get on the loan with me. So I used to pay for the car, but like they did that for me. But if I didn't have parents, or if I had one parent and maybe they used their credit wrong, try to like, you know, just catch up in life, like I couldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's exactly my first car. I've always been a speed talker. So my first car, Denise from School's First Credit Union, my bank, I got denied the loan. But I'm such a people person. I would always talk to her. So she knew me. And she was like, let me call the bank. So she called the bank, and they pushed the loan through.
Wow.
Just through people talking.
You know what, Ken? This podcast might go a little longer, but
it's okay.
It's because I just realized something. We're not very different in that because see, when I came here with just my mom. And I was supposed to come here for treatment for only 8 months and then go back to Kenya. But the treatment kept taking so long that I would have surgery for like, you know, now and then wait for 3 months, then have surgery again, you know, and like by a year I've only done like 3-4 surgeries and they're not done. Like they're like, oh, we still got to do more. So, And my mom at the time wasn't, so the government was helping us a little bit, like in the Kenyan government. And then at some point they ended up stopping. And my mom had to get a job, and she was working under the table. But before that, the government only helped us with like school stuff and things that we needed. Like if it's like, oh, we need to be taken to the hospital, that was priority, and paying the rent. But all these other things that like a child needs growing up, like this camp, people go to like, trips and these things that every kid is doing, just like the way you're looking at your friend and they're like, man, they're doing all this, with their parents. Yeah. Like the people are doing that. And for me, I wasn't able to do that because we just couldn't afford it. And my mom also had to take care of my family back in Kenya because my brother and my sister, who were both younger than me, were with my dad in Kenya, and they were in school. And bro, so, and I've told this a few times, but I think it's almost like we're having therapy. But it's like I used to be funny. I mean, I was funny already, but I used to use that to get people to like me, so that they can do things for me. Like I remember, and it's bad because like sometimes I felt like I was doing the most.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah,
it's
go
not
ahead.
Bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Oh, it's not. It's like it's
survival.
Not. Yeah, but I feel like it's like you're lonely. Or it's like you're doing the most to try and get something that like some people are just getting natural. You know what I mean?
No, but it's survival. You cannot blame yourself with kicking in survival.
Right, because it's instincts just kicked in. It's like, bro, if you're not gonna do this, we're not gonna go to the strips.
Yeah, we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna get that one.
Yeah,
it's survival. Like, it's survival. You cannot shame yourself for that. Right? You can't say it's bad because when you say it's bad,
it's like a negative connotation.
It means you had negative intentions, which you didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. It
was just survival. Who doesn't want to have cotton candy at
the
fair?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So yeah.
But it's just funny now that I think about, like, that's how some of those things affect you when you don't have both parents around, because it's like if one parent is handling one thing, the other parent can be handling another thing. But if you don't have that, and you kind of have to do those things where you're like trying to get everybody like, hey man.
Now, let's talk about when it becomes dangerous, is when you're still using those tactics in a relationship, right?
Well, what do you mean?
When you're still using, it's because it's low-key manipulation, right? So when you start using manipulation in a relationship, in a relationship with somebody, right? Then you realize, oh, that could be a little bit toxic. I need to work on that. So it's that's when now you got to work on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like when you're a kid, you're just survival.
Yeah.
You're survival. But now you don't need to be on survival mode anymore. Right. And that's the thing. It's we operate on survival mode. That's the lowest vibration we can vibrate at. Is literally the lowest vibration is survival. Think about that.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we live in America. We shouldn't we're blessed enough not to be living on survival. That's not our bare minimum anymore.
Yeah.
We can work ourselves up.
Right. There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. And you look at a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people operate on survival.
Yeah. And like even in their adulthood.
It's a very low vibration. It's a very limited way of viewing the world, right?
Yeah.
And you spoke about violence and politics. That's survival, right? You're taking away. You're taking away my view of thinking. Therefore, I cannot adapt to a new view. So I'm going to cause an outrage, pretty much. So that's but as a child, it's okay. But as you get older, you need to let work on that, and then so you're not operating from survival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get you. I think that's good. Yeah, because you don't want to get into you don't want to get caught up into it so much that you're still doing it even when you don't need to or you don't have to.
Yes, and I found myself doing that. I found myself in survival mode in relationships. Once again, I go back to therapy. The reason I left, the reason I went into therapy is because I found myself in great opportunities, but I could not take advantage of them. Right, and relationship wise, I could not succeed. I could not move forward. I was so scared because my heart, I was still a 7-year-old boy who was sent to boarding school, who was sent to America without his mother, without his father. As still a 7-year-old who did not think that anyone could love them. Right. So when this amazing woman is right in front of me telling me I love you, I'm like, nah, you're lying.
Right.
and I'll find the way you're lying. And here's the thing: whatever you look for, you'll find.
Right.
So I have found different ways.
That's crazy.
And after 2 years of therapy, like, you know what? I remember looking my therapist in the face and saying, I have a confidence that's not a phase. You know when you feel good, like you wear a nice outfit, you get a little nice confidence.
Yeah.
You know, but this was like, it was not a phase. It was an inner strength, an inner power. Like, it was very, very, very powerful. And this happened earlier this year.
Wait, what was like the conversations you guys been having, or
no? I saw my therapist. I was like, I have this inner confidence that's not a phase. It's not like it's not gonna pass.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. It's been like a few months ago, and because you know when you put on a nice fit, you feel confident. You got a new something. You know, but this wasn't. I didn't get anything new. I finally believed I was worthy. And you can't put a price on that.
Right.
I finally believed I was worthy. And that, my friend, you can't put a price on that. And the way you show up differently to work, you show up differently in relationships.
Yeah.
That's why I beg you, please do not put off therapy.
Yeah.
Because there is so much to discover about yourself, not about anyone else, about yourself.
Yeah. And I like that our generation is very, we love to try things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't conform into things that like people just say, you know, just the same way you could be thinking like therapy is for the older people or it's for people who are going through things. Like, I'm actually going to try it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tap in with it. And I'm sure that people who are watching are going to be like, oh, especially if you know you have something that you've been dealing with. If you're in a relationship after a relationship and it's not working out, you got to just be like, bro, there's something wrong, and tap in and try to.
And that's the thing. It's like, you don't have to be going through anything. It's a cheat code. It's how to get better.
Yeah.
Like, it's like everyone deals with issues. And I remember I was talking to somebody who was Kenyan, and sadly I told him, I was like, I highly recommend you go to therapy. And they said, I was like, what am I gonna get upon speaking to somebody? I'm like, there's so much. We're social animals, right? When you build a trust and connection with somebody, and when you build that trust with somebody, and you don't feel like you're walking this earth by yourself, and you share everything, it's very like your deepest, darkest secrets. And they don't judge you. Yeah. Because there's some things you're never going to share with your partner. It's just personal, right? But you might share with your therapist. Right. And even that, because I've been a fitness coach for 10 years now. And you've been to the gym, right? Have you ever been spotted?
Yeah. When I'm like lifting weights.
Yeah, when somebody's spotting you,
benching.
How much do they do?
Not a lot, man.
They don't do anything. Yeah. They just literally, when I'm spotting my clients, I put my hands.
It's like literally
the psychological brain takes over. Like, they're like, because they're struggling, and then I put my hands just on the bar, and then they're able to push forward. And it tells you how social we are as humans, right? Number one, people who say I don't need anyone, my ass. You do. Yeah. Right? You need somebody, because even your brain does it automatically. Nelson Mandela has a saying, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far,
go together.
Simple. Right? Yeah. It's and I think that's probably the thing that people forget, that we're social animals and we need each other. I'm an introvert. No, you're an introvert. Congratulations, but you still need. You're a social being.
Like your DNA is created that way.
You seek to be with somebody.
Wow. Yeah. Man, I feel like it sounds like when you're going to therapy, it's like a switch was turned on you, and it's not been turned down. You know, it's not been turned off. You've just been on that.
You can't turn it down. You can't. The self beat up, the self, realizing that. Actually, simply just because most of your audience are Kenyans, simply realizing your trauma. I'm telling you, I got on the phone with somebody and I was talking to them, and the way they spoke about their trauma, I mean, the way they spoke about they walked right past a childhood, a very traumatic experience,
Like it was nothing.
like it was nothing. That's not normal. What I did was I told her, I said, let me ask you a question. Tell your story about a little 7-year-old girl who this happened to her, this happened to her, this happened to her. What would you think about that little 7-year-old? She'd be like, oh, that'd be so sad. That's you.
Right. That's crazy, man.
That's you.
That's crazy. But I feel like with some of like the way, especially for Kenyan men, like if you really think about it, the way we've been raised, we're not supposed to talk about our feelings. Nobody tells you that.
That's
but
men in general, though.
it's how
That's men in
yeah,
general.
like you don't talk about your feelings. You don't talk about like you're going through stuff. Like sometimes I'll be keeping things in, and they affect me body wise because my body mind is like, bro, like it's like when something is like not working in a vacuum and it starts twitching or something like that. It starts like
flow.
It starts doing its thing.
Yeah.
So and I feel like that's something I do or we do as a man where we're just like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'll handle it by myself. But like you said, you need people. You can't handle things by yourself. Not everything,
You have to have people. You have to have people you trust. And I mean, therapy is one form, but you also have to have a community, right? Like I said, the reason why I'm who I am to this day is because of my Kenyan community in the U.S. They have had my back since day one. Honestly, the Kenyan community has had my back. So I thank you, Kenyan community. But they've had my back, my friends, my family. You have to have a community. And the community can be one person. It doesn't have to be multiple people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but you don't wanna have somebody carrying such a heavy burden. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Ken, I appreciate you, man.
course,
Thank you
man.
so much for coming by all the way from LA. You know what I'm saying?
I made it here. Man.
You feel me?
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that you shared with us, and I hope that people who are watching really get something. Is there anything that we left out that you wanted to talk about that you would like to share before we close? And if it's something personal you want to talk to people and so they can watch you well, there's that camera right there that you can speak into and get the message across.
So, is there anything I left out? Number one, invest in yourself. Always invest in yourself, whether it's hiring a coach, a therapist. You are worthy. I want you to understand that. I want you to understand you are worthy. You don't need to accomplish this or that to become worthy. As of now, right now, as you're built, you are worthy. That's the major thing I want to push on to people.
Well, again, like I said, man, I appreciate you and I appreciate everything that you've shared. And I know it's not easy, or I don't know if it was easy. Maybe for you it was easy, just like, how you adapted when you came here. But at the end of the day, I think it's good, to share stuff like that, because there are people who go through things and they feel like they're the only ones that are going through things. And, listening to your story, you came here at 10 years old without your parents. You didn't even know your dad. You came to a family which you had never probably seen before, and then you had to go to school here, and you've made something out of yourself. You created something that like from scratch. And that gives somebody motivation or just an assurance like that. If there are people who are probably even better than, like, they're starting better than like where you were at, and they, by listening to your story, they can be able to push it and even be better than like where you were at or at the same place that you were at, man.
Yep. It's very true. It doesn't matter where you're at. We think America is a land of the free. You can create whatever you want wherever you were at.
Yeah.
Right? I always think about the first person who created a car. Right? I always think about him. The guy people thought he was crazy. From a horse to a mechanical horse.
Right, it made no sense.
Yeah. I always think about how people thought about him.
Right.
And that gives me motivations to do what I'm doing in the future. You'll see there's some new things coming up.
You've heard it. He said there's some new things that are coming out. Do you mind sharing your social medias real quick? Just keep it short, and then so people can check you out and your pages.
I'm at Coach Ken African. So that's where you can find me on IG. Ken African on Facebook. The Positive African on YouTube. And like I said, I have some stuff coming up on YouTube especially.
So yes, guys, check him out. Check out his stuff. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. If you feel like this podcast, this episode has impacted your life, or you love this story, please share it with somebody, and especially with a young person. Until next time, peace.